So why is everyone talking about Antarctica? Why is everybody worried about it? Why is everybody trying to, all these world powers trying to get a foothold and saying that's their land? Well, today let's just talk about it a little bit. I think a lot of these stories we tend to just kind of write off because we're like, Antarctica, it's like a frozen tundra. And you've heard a lot of, thoughts on it and theories on it, but there is some truth to it. Let's jump into a story today that should be eye-opening. And again, it should say, is this why everybody claims to Antarctica? Let's jump into it. Today's video starts right now.
Somebody ought to come along and let you down, so you could see my side and how it feels to hit the ground.
Hey guys, welcome to the Max. Thank you so very much for being here today. If you are new to the channel, go down here, press subscribe, ring the bell, give us a thumbs up. It does sure help us stay in the algorithm, and it helps recommend our video across this platform, because our goal is to take our channel and to give a common sense approach to the world that we live in. Also, hopefully we can gain wisdom as a community in a very, very chaotic situation when it comes to the world that we're in. Now let's jump into today's story about Antarctica. Before we do, I'd be remiss to tell you, remember we have two giveaways. One, that is if you are subscribed to this channel, subscribe to the Max Life, which is our vlog channel, and also commenting below, give us a thumbs up, you are entered into a giveaway. Now there's a secondary one that you can be entered in as well. It's on Twitter. Basically all you do is you just go over there, follow us there, comment on one of our posts, and to be honest with you, we share a lot of data there and a lot of information when we talk about the research that we're doing, so go check us out over there as well. Now let's talk about the video today. Now you remember a few months ago, and even back to even a year ago, there was a whistleblower that was kind of like a plumber slash maintenance guy that worked in Antarctica for Raycon. Now the situation was he was there to do maintenance. He was doing a lot of maintenance and a lot of big jobs in our communities in America for bigger players. And all of a sudden he got offered the job. You could go find anything. All you got to do is type in your YouTube browser about Antarctica and whistleblower, and he talks about some of the things that happened down there. He talked about the seismic issues and how they can move the plates to where earthquakes can happen. He talked about the fact of weather. He talked about the fact of intelligence and what they're gathering there, and how it's just a significant point that a lot of people have no idea what's going on there. And so some people took it, some people took him on podcast, and some people kind of blew him off. Well, today we're going to talk about a story that came out on Zero Hedge, and it says the Scramble for Antarctica. And when you see all these countries that are vying to have Antarctica, it starts bringing a little bit more truth to sometimes something that we considered just a theory or something that was just probably false and somebody wanted to make a lot of money. Now it may be more true than ever. I want you to listen to this story from Zero Hedge. It says the scramble for Antarctica is slowly gathering steam. It is not unrelated to the fact of the scramble of the Americas, such as more power in South America to kind of be an adversarial relationship with North America. We kind of live in a bubble here in North America where we have friends to the south, friends to the north, and then we're surrounded by bodies of water. Most places that have adversarial relationships have border problems, which, don't get me wrong, we have a border problem, but it's not to a point where we have a major player on our borders. Well, with us moving NATO closer to some of those adversaries, it's starting to get up steam to where some of those adversaries are starting to look back over here and say, you know what, that Cuban issue that we started back in the Cold War, the fact that we could have some more players in South America, Antarctica could be our play, and then maneuvering up. So this is a big part, because what they're doing is saying we need to get in the hemisphere and the area closer in proximity to get more information from America. And so therefore that's why you see America also making a play, and our contractors and intelligence doing the same thing. It says by 2024 Antarctica will have at least 82 bases from more than 30 countries. Why are 30 countries inhabiting Antarctica? China has 5 bases, 3 built within the last decade, the latest in February, with 3 with year-round manning, meaning they have people there at all times. Antarctica has its own right, is home to many mineral and oceanic riches. It is also key to a number of military, navigational, and other resources. It says the revival of interest in the Global Reach Fractional Orbital Bombardment System, FOBS, for example, relying on polar orbit delivery of hypersonic weapons. So it has a place where they've built this intelligence. Now all of a sudden everybody's wanting to vie for that intelligence, and it's allowing for missile commands, it's allowing for navigational control, it's also got tons of riches and mineral rights. So it may be like the next great frontier for a lot of these countries, but also for adversarial relationships, everybody's trying to claim this as their own, so therefore either you can defend it, so that way you can make your presence known in a different hemisphere, but also allows you to have navigational rights and maybe intelligent rights over certain countries. For instance, I doubt China's wanting to get there just so they can understand what Brazil's doing. They're doing that so they can understand what America's doing and getting more and more intelligence. Now, this goes back to the fact of saying, well, I mean, we have spy balloons flying over, we have, you know, intelligence from TikTok and all these other things. Correct. So why are we all of a sudden worried about Antarctica? Why is it still a big play when there's so much technology that is getting taken from us based on typical surveillance? I mean, like for instance, our Congress just passed a bill with the FISA situation where it's warrantless and they can get information of yours. So what makes Antarctica so special? There was a treaty not too long ago when it comes to the Cold War, and really before Russia, it was the USSR and America, saying that this land was, you know, it's supposed to be gathered for intelligence. However, we're going to work together. No one's going to claim it. Well, China's come in and said, you know what? I don't know if I agree with that. I was not part of that treaty. So you're seeing more and more provocation to where they're building more and more bases. Just a few weeks ago, Milei, the new Argentina president, is even saying he wants stakes to the same situation down there in Antarctica and wants access to the bases too. So again, why are these countries vying for that area? Well, there's tons of satellite imaging and navigational controls in Antarctica. Why? I don't know. It just, I guess it's better than the North Pole. I have no idea. But the bottom line is you're starting to see a play for the control of that area. Now, if you go back to the Raycon information, him talking about making, you know, seismic shifts and things in the ice that's making, you know, weather change and earthquakes happen, that's a pretty big deal. So then it goes back to, again, this God complex, to where is man trying to play God? Is man trying to take over different parts of the earth because of frontier and because of power and control? But not only that, to see if they can do more damage to certain areas without actually having to go to a quote-unquote hot war. So is that the play there? There's tons of treaties and alliances that are pretty much over Antarctica. But it did come out and say China's regime is pretty much stating they don't really care about the leases, they don't care about the treaties, they don't care about the alliances. Not that they're breaking them yet, but they're just stating they're going to do what they want to do. If you remember the South China Sea and all the islands they were making, you remember all the passageways they're trying to get with the Belt and Road Initiative. Sometimes it's just a bigger player where they're trying to build that empire back to where it once was. So the play may not be just quote-unquote Antarctica. It may be a play just to control more of the frontier. Years ago, Africa was that place. They had a big treaty where people in the 19th century were all moving, trying to get the assets from Africa. They were trying to see what it had, the riches it had. And they explored it, and you see that a lot of people took advantage of Africa. A lot of the countries in Africa have riches. However, the people of Africa are impoverished because there were so many people coming in and taking the rice, taking the things and setting up who they wanted, where they wanted. And now you see exactly that's what's happened to Africa. It's never ever gotten, it's never actually tapped into all its resources and become a strong continent because so many people have taken advantage of it. So Antarctica is becoming that new trend. Now, there's not tons of people down there that I know of, but if you all of a sudden say, okay, where that was riches and the value had with exploration or oil or with, you know, if it be goods and growing foods and animals or whatever it may be, then Antarctica may be for the navigational, the intelligence, the fact that they can make things happen to the earth and the earth crust because the location and proximity there. There's new bases being built there. So here's what I think we should do, because we need to say, well, why does that matter to us? Well, I think it matters just the same way with things getting sprayed in the sky. I think that if we realize that there's more people trying to harm us than help us because they have a God complex, I think of the fact that, you know, with all this food that's being changed around and done with, and all this organizations that are pretty much trying to make this one world situation, I think Antarctica plays a big key facet in it, because what you're going to see is more surveillance, more intelligence gathered, but through that, what do they do with it? If some of our biggest contractors, defense contractors, and we talk about, you know, UAPs and UFOs and all that kind of stuff, What if all of a sudden we realize that there's more happening in these areas because our defense contractors are building new technology, and because Antarctica is not owned, it doesn't have any kind of special agreements to where it has, American law or Chinese law or Brazilian law or Russian law. It has just more of an open policy with these treaties. What if they can take the time to build what they want down there, work on it, try to figure out what this new gadget they're building for defense, for war? What if they're using it just for that? What if the intelligence that we're getting from our phones is just not enough and they need more intelligence? They need more gathering of information. Well, that's the place to do it, because everybody's trying to vie for the same information. Why would 82 bases and new ones being built every year, along with 30 countries owning those bases, and then they're vying for their defense contractors and their intelligence services to go down there? Why is it that important? There's no other part of the earth at this point in time that they're doing that with. And you're talking about the most coldest climate almost in the world, and they're manning people down there 24 hours a day, 7 days a week for years at a time. I think the sad thing is, I think it comes down to God complex. I think it comes down to making new innovative technologies and new defense war weapons to then cause more and more chaos on this earth. I may be wrong, but I think there's just a lot of suspicion that goes around these areas. I don't believe any exploration, any new innovation, new technology, think of AI and the fact that these wars are taking place, all of it is power grabs, money grabs, and getting more power and control over some group of individuals, wherever you're talking about in the world. If it's China over Taiwan, it's because they want the chips and they want the power and they want the availability to control the trade. If it's the Belt and Road Initiative, if it's Russia going in Ukraine because of certain territory, if it's America funding a lot of other wars because they have different, aspirations and proxies that they want to face, and they want to consider this person an ally and this person an enemy. I think it all comes down to power grabs. And Antarctica may be the 2000s and the 2020s and the 2030s. That may be the biggest power grab, because not only is it just, hey, we can prosper because it may have oil. We can prosper because we have great minerals. There may be more going on because there may be more intelligence that it's gathering, which is going to make for more control of people. And the crazy thing is, it's every country gathering down there. So are we gathering every information? Are we gathering all information of all people? Maybe so. It may be exactly what China wants, because it helps them get to the Americas better. It may help them have different navigational paths to expand their empire. Because all this stuff, all these big plays are setting up for more control of us. Because the more that there's silence around a situation, the more that nobody's talking about a situation, the more that alliances are broke, and that more people are trying to, countries and mega billion-dollar companies are all trying to stake ground to there. There's a reason, and it's not just because they like the cold weather. So give me your thoughts. Is there something going on in Antarctica that we should be aware of? Guys, let me know what you think. God bless. Happy homesteading, y'all.
You should have never let me go.